everybody, welcome back to MidLantic Gaming and our next game playthrough, which is going to be on the Nintendo Switch. This is the Asian Territories release of Danmachi, or Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? I was really excited for this game and wanted to play it as soon as possible, so that's why I went on Play Asia and purchased the Asian Territories release, which has English subtitles. Admittedly, I believe there are times when it gets a little bit Englishy, but other than that, it's still easy to follow. All-around good translation. Without this, I would be unable to play this game as I do not speak or read Japanese. With that said, get ready to hear me mispronounce a lot of names. It's gonna happen. I think one of the first ones you'll see me do that on is Aina, because I pronounce it Aina, whereas you can clearly hear the voice actor for Belle say Aina. But I think you'll still be able to follow along, and you'll know when I mention a character, you'll have a rough idea of who I'm talking about. Now, I first became familiar with Danmachi through the anime series that came out a couple of years ago. If you're unfamiliar, I strongly suggest you go check that out. It's available on services like Crunchyroll. And no, I have not been paid for this. This channel's only been live for like a week, so ain't nobody a pay anime shit. This is also one of those games where I'm excited for it, and I think a lot of people will be because we're familiar with the characters. We know this world. I think if you aren't familiar with Danmachi, or the characters, or the world, or anything like that, or any of the story, this may not be a game you're going to want to purchase. If I try to think of it in terms of separating the anime that I very much enjoyed, you know, getting to know these characters, that sort of thing, if I separate that from the actual gameplay, it's kind of a basic dungeon crawler. I could see for someone who doesn't have the familiarity with the characters or the story, I could see this game kind of getting boring and repetitive very quickly. But if you are a fan, like me, in turn, I think this is a game that was made for the fans. I kind of had the same thoughts recently playing, what was it, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. In terms of, is it a great game? Is it amazing? No. But I couldn't stop playing it because I remember so many years ago watching the anime, and I was such a big fan, and you know, that sort of nostalgia for those characters, you know, it made the game seem better than what it really was. But again, that's another example of it being a game that was really made for the fans. So the long and short of this one, if you're a Danmachi fan, you're probably going to love this game. If not, you may kind of get a, you know, sort of a meh vibe from it. Either way, let's go ahead and dive in. Gonna select new game. I don't believe I can skip this little intro, so let's just take a look. And I've decided I'm not going to read over this. It is voice acted. Actually, I don't know how much of that's going to come out in the capture, but you know, hopefully it does. If not, I've kind of decided against reading this out loud. But you know, the basic idea is the gods and goddesses came down, decided to basically limit their own powers and just sort of observe the humans going through their hardships in their lives. They created a dungeon for the humans to go into and fight monsters, and each god or goddess is sort of recruiting followers into their family or familia. And most of the story follows the goddess Hestia and her one follower or family member, who is Belle. Okay, but I can't skip this opening. Some Ghana. Alright, chapter 1.
ベル、冒険者なら出会いを求めなくちゃな。醜悪なモンスターからか弱い女冒険者を助け、感謝されいい仲になる。これぞ冒険の醍醐味ってやつだ。ベル君、おい、ベル君。
And that was just sort of a memory that Bell had of his grandfather. I believe it was his grandfather. But here he is currently living with his goddess Hestia. I really appreciate that it's the same voice actors from the anime as well, so there's like nothing that's like a jarring change in the voices. It's all what you would expect to hear. I should point out that if any of this ever gets a little too, and I hate to use this term, but I think you'll know what I mean, if it gets a little too Englishy for you, please note that I have heard that publisher PQube is actually going to be localizing this for the West, so I think sometime in 2020, I want to say I read somewhere close to the end of March, but I may be thinking of another game or something else. I may be a little mixed up there, but I've heard that at least sometime in 2020 this game will get officially released in the West, and it will have a redone translation, so it should get rid of some of those kind of Englishy bits. But here we are. We can do story, status, equipment change, or game command. Let's go ahead and continue with the story. Okay, we got a quest, study with Aina Part 1. Condition to complete is defeat 3 goblins. Simple enough. No. I think maybe I got the option to skip because I have played this part before in a different game, which, even though I started a new game, that's kind of neat if that's what happens, if it remembers that you've played through it in a separate game and gives you that option to skip. That's kind of nice. But we really know what we need to do, so I'm gonna kind of rush through this conversation. It's all, I'm going to the dungeon. Oh, are you going to the dungeon? Yes, I'm going to the dungeon. Dungeons are dangerous, blah, 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 blah. Would you like to watch this tutorial? Which we're going to skip. Take care. Sure you don't want to watch that tutorial? No, I'm going to skip it. To be fair, I haven't watched it in any of my playthroughs of this. I probably should, because I'm sure I'm missing something. Defeat 3 goblins. But I just assumed I would get into the dungeon and figure it out. And what I figured out is the A button attacks repeatedly, does this. You kind of finish with a little spin, which does leave you vulnerable for a few seconds. The X button does the spin attack, which also there at the end you'll see I can't really move or do anything for a couple of seconds. The B button evades. If you press a direction like forward and B, you sort of dash. And that seems to be the controls. I've got 3, I'm just going to call them healing herbs up in the top left corner. And that's the directional pad. If I were to hit up on the D-pad, then I'm going to use one of those to restore a little bit of health. Anyway, this dungeon's kind of short because the 3 goblins we have to defeat are right here. The beauty of it is even after you've kind of exhausted the A button options, you can use the X button. So, there we go. And I missed some treasure up there, but, you know, it is what it is. That was the quest. Yes, it was a quest. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, status up. I'm going to continue with the story again. Let's do one more. This one has a condition to complete of defeat 6 goblins plus 1, which is a status of the goblins. It does not mean defeat 7 goblins. It means defeat 6 of a specific. You know what? I am going to skip this scenario. It's just more conversation with Aina, I believe. Nothing really that great. More like, oh no, you're going to the dungeon, be careful. Yes, I'm going to the dungeon, I will be careful. That sort of thing. Okay, so this time is a little more difficult because I've got to defeat a specific type of goblin. So that's just a regular goblin is defeated, it says over there on the right. Let's see. More of those regular goblins. They're just in the way. Not at all what I'm looking for. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to beat them up. That's what I'm looking for. Little treasure. Or, you know, treasure. But it's more fun to say treasure. There should be some more treasure around here. Are you over here? And also, I think on the left side, too. Methinks there's some treasure on the left side. And then there's more of these. More of these assholes. And I've got to remember to keep an eye on my HP up there, because it's going to start dropping in a second, because up here are the goblin +1s, I believe. And they take a little bit more damage. Look at me trying to evade. Alright, quest clear. Alright, so that quest is cleared. And we got another status up here. Nice. Let's go ahead and save our game. We'll overwrite this one. Okay, and I think that is enough for us to call this one an episode. So please let me know in the comments down below if you want to see more of this. If not, we will start playing something else. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I will see you next time on MidLantic Gaming. Thanks for watching.